So first and foremost, we're gonna go ahead and start by taking this stupid ugly padding off the top of this thing and removing those legs so we can really get to the nitty gritty of what we're gonna be doing here. Now, this is a stool from a vanity mirror set that I found near the trash can, and I just kind of kept it in my studio until I came up with an idea. And you know what they say, another man's trash is another man's treasure. And here we have it, failed attempt number one. I don't show all of the failed attempts, but trust me, there are a lot. I wanted to make humanoid hands that literally just did not work. So we're just gonna move on to something else. This is alginate, and I'm gonna try to make a mold of my hand and somehow connect it to the bottom of the legs. Surprise, surprise, this also did not work. I did have the idea to just use this for a different project, which I won't get into now, but we can talk about it maybe another day. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap the legs of the stool in aluminum foil, cover that in tape just to lock in the foil, and then lock that in with some air dry clay. I knew this wouldn't be strong enough, so we'll come back to that in a little bit, but let's get started working on that head. So I just started balling up a shit ton of printing paper and then covered that in foil because I wanted it to be as light as possible because I wasn't sure how heavy anything was going to be, but I thought better safe than sorry, better light than heavy. And now that we got the general shape of the head mapped out, we can go ahead and repeat that same general process for the mask and the neck that I'll attach to the underside of this stool. And speaking of said mask, the plan is basically just to have a compilation of ripped flesh from different persons. And once that's complete, I'll go ahead and drill some holes so I can later add stitches. Get that boy a lip, jam in some teeth. Anyways, this is a bucket of trash I've accumulated from different places. Let's go ahead and get started on the backside of said creature. Now, the idea for this part of the build is basically a post-apocalyptic wasteland or junkyard built using found materials along the journey of the creature by whomever is living on the backside of it at the time. It could be me, it could be you, it could be a monkey uncle. And once these tarps get laid, I can go ahead and start underpainting with this rust oxide color, followed by this beautiful true blue for the shingles. And then we can go ahead and add some color variation to the different corrugated panels as well as the plywood that's boarding everything up. And then just add like a little bit of nice dry brush, and then we can move on to some other platforms to give this thing some more volume. Yeah, this part's pretty simple. I just kind of haphazardly slap a bunch of shit all over the other parts of this build. And most of this part I did off camera, but this is a smokestack that will double as an incense holder. And then moving on, we can get started on piles of trash for this post-apocalyptic junkyard themed thingy we're doing here. And by this point, I had started dry fitting most of the parts onto the base, but then I decided I wanted to kind of bulk out the sides a little bit more with a little bit of variation. So I decided to use like a storage container as like a work study for the bottom so I could kind of break everything up a little bit. And with that being said, let's move on to some trees, but it's dying. I used some dollar store wooden dowels. And the foliage that's on top is like a flat top grill scrubbing pad that actually worked pretty dang good. And now that we got these trees looking quite tree-like, I can go ahead and set that aside to start working on the base again, which is basically just Mod Podge and black acrylic paint to make everything kind of blend together. And this mixture here is literal human poop. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's not poop. It's a mixture of Mod Podge, black paint, and coffee, which I use to give the illusion of wet mud. And speaking of illusions, I went ahead and made these hunks of earth off camera that I will glue on later. And then it's back to making these legs nice and durable. For the durability aspect, I literally just use cement because I have it for some reason. And while we sit and let that cure, we can get back working on this big old demon dome, which we can simply just mask off the face underneath, go ahead and paint some different colors on the teeth and the gums. Go ahead and throw the legs back on there, ignore that wobble, and then we can get started painting this mask. We're gonna start off with the chocolate drop brown right there, and some oppression pink, sandman brown, and then lighter sandman brown before we go ahead and chap all these lips up. And add an egregious amount of horror spritz of blood, and it's pretty much ready to go for that thread. Luckily, I had a thicker thread just on hand, which was cool because I was really trying to just use only things I had readily available. And I don't know why I said that like that. Readily available, readily available, readily available. Throw on some Mod Podge and some super glue and some thick model glue to the scalp. Throw the hair on, chop the hair, and this thing is done. And that is the end of the video. I really want to thank anyone who took the time to watch this. Maybe I made you giggle. Maybe I made you show your support in the way that you do for YouTube. That's all I have for today. Have a great day or night or whatever it may be, and goodbye.